I wasn't sure how I wanted to start this video today. I've been humming and hawing over what exactly is it about the game this year that hasn't totally clicked for me. By no means is 2K25 a bad game, but it's also not my favorite. Something about it this year has felt, I don't know, just off. But what do you think? Today, strap in, ladies and gentlemen, because we're gonna get silly and we're gonna talk about things that didn't really click for WWE 2K25 this year. At least so far. And I say so far because, well, we still have several months left in the game's life cycle, and then it starts all over again. And then bozos like me, right, will get all hyped up for the next year's game and blah, blah, blah. What's the word? Shill. That's right. I will shill for the next game, won't I? But I think it's fair to assess it and look at it overall now that we have had, what has it been, 5-6 months with the game? They're already working on next year's title. Perhaps some learns and what was not great. For example, The Island. Tried it a couple of times. Tried it on different consoles to see if it just made any difference for me. It did not. Something about that mode really just doesn't work for me, brother. It's just not for me. It might be for somebody else that says, I spend so many hours in there, I run around, they're doing new drops all the time for more content, superstars, alternate attires, gear, but something about just running around in this exact same environment in the exact same circle, limited for the number of matches and match types you can do, interacting with other real players in there is also limited. Sure, it's the first year that they've done the island, but with it being a new mode, something they want to bring in new players, existing players, spend money, do all this stuff, it really doesn't feel like the right fit for a wrestling game. Unfortunately, if you are somebody that's like, I'm not keen on playing this, I don't touch that mode, whatever, unfortunately for those players, and I guess even for myself, that mode I don't see going anywhere. I think it's going to get reiterated on. I think they're going to add to it. I think they're going to change it from the island and call it something else next year, and it'll just kind of be more of a reskin, repackage. You'll still run around something based off of maybe what the theme of the game is, whoever the cover star is, because we had the Bloodline edition and it all centered around the island with Roman Reigns. If you're like me, you travel often enough every year. My wife likes to go to the Disney and I've got to pack a lot of suitcases. But Matt here likes to travel light, or I like to feel like I'm traveling pretty light. So I'm really happy to be able to work with today's sponsor, Ekster, because they have an amazing product that you guys need to be able to check out. Their reusable travel vacuum bag. What we have is the travel pack vacuum kit. What's great is the bag itself. The quality is excellent. It's waterproof. It's made of nylon. You have an air pump that comes with it. It's super tiny and portable. And for every bag that you have, you can compress about 15 articles of clothing, which I loaded this thing up and I just sucked the air right out of it and I loved it. What I found fantastic was being able to take the entire reusable bag and be able to put it in my backpack, acts as a carry-on. I'm able to get everything I want onto an airplane, no problem. Still a ton of room too in my backpack. It's the one thing that I use all the time when I'm traveling. So I have plenty of room to be not only bringing my clothes, but my shoes and everything else. Putting it in your suitcase, your duffel bag, whatever you have, the quality of it is outstanding and I love the portability of it. Now, if you're traveling too and you're going across the world, you want to be able to track some of your stuff. Ekster takes it a step forward. They actually have a full Finder card that you can slip into your luggage, your bag, whatever it is. Finder card works with your Apple device, with the Apple Find My app, and then you'll be able to locate it wherever you are. And then when you are traveling, you're going store to store and you're moving around town, you need to be able to bring your wallet. It's something that's a little bit more portable. Ekster's got you covered because they actually have a fantastic wallet here that will hold up to 7 different cards. It's got a very satisfying click on it. Look at it. I like that very much. But the travel pack is the hero. I want you guys to take advantage of this and check it out yourselves. You're gonna get up to like 60% more space in your suitcase. So for me, my wife can shove in more shoes and the hair dryer and the furniture in there too. And the good thing too is that it will double as a laundry bag by the time your trip is done. Using the code ASSEMBLE gives you an additional 10% off your order. Also take advantage of their summer sale with up to 32% off until August 18th. Thank you so much to Ekster for supporting the channel. Now back to the video. Then there's my faction. Something I continuously try to go back to because they drop new personas, a John Cena, a Triple H from the Attitude Era. I get all those things popping up and I'm like, man, I really want to get that. And then I just see how grindy it is. Also going into World Tour. I think the addition of World Tour is a good thing. See, some positivity here for you. But I don't like how it's got minimal support. There's so many hoops you have to jump through in order to unlock a different persona model. How many years has it been now since we've had my faction? Is this the 3rd or 4th year they've done it? It has evolved. but the core element is still the same, and I think the pricing model on it is just so wild. And I really don't see it being enough for players to want to grind it out unless there's someone who's like a completionist and they just want to have everything. But getting John Cena's 2025 model, it's just, we put a different t-shirt on him, man. Like, you get it in the community creations and stick with that. I don't know what you do with something like My Faction. A lot of people will say get rid of it, and some people might say I try it every single day and it's the one thing that keeps me going because it's updated, because it's live. But I wish they would retool it. If you want to keep My Faction going and it's something that's going to be in the series for a long time, I just think new ways to be able to get rewards would work for players. A refreshed universe mode where some of the rewards, every pay-per-view, PLE outcomes, annual rewards, things hitting your goals and targets, whatever, then maybe you do get card packs or you do get VC. Something that entices the players that are playing one mode and then it draws them into the other mode. But maybe that's too complicated and wishful thinking and hoping. And then let's talk about universe mode and GM mode. GM mode got way too hard this year and it didn't gel for me. I am a very big fan of having that mode back in the series, but it just doesn't have the depth. And I think part of it is just wanting to focus on adding more NPCs to be able to trade or draft to your roster, not having ladder matches and Royal Rumble and war games, like all the core stuff that's in universe mode. It takes away from having the true GM experience, I feel. The class system, I feel like, is still an issue. There's workarounds for that to make it work for you. But after a couple of seasons, and sometimes I would get into like a whole kick of it and I would be able to grind it out in GM mode and play through an entire season of it, and actually I did enjoy myself. But not something where it had a hook in me that I'm like, this is the thing I want to keep coming back to, if you know what I mean. And then universe mode. The big addition this year was promos and the promo system. When the game first launched and promos were introduced, I thought, this is exciting. This is something that fans have wanted for years, right? They want to have a promo system in there that's going to give them all these options and all this stuff and branching storylines and rivalries. And you're just left with like a couple of generic cutscenes that are coming out. Sure, they do have different story elements that you're going to get different outcomes for that. They've updated it since then over launch, which is good, where you're going to have, you know, some of the elements of it carry over to the PLEs, but it just doesn't have the depth. And that seems to be a recurring theme here for me, at least, is that it's lacking depth. King of the Ring added into universe mode, where it's actually going to have a title match for SummerSlam. Awesome. But a mode that has been in the series forever, and we've talked about this if you followed me on the channel here for any number of years or time, I've talked about how, like, you go back and you look at universe mode from days of old to now, and there's tweaks and changes. The core fundamentals are still there. A lot of it feels like it's just taped together at this point to keep it going and working. And I'd love to know what you think about universe mode specifically. Like, how would you change it? How would you actually make it work in a way that gives players this feeling of wanting to come back all the time? I think one of them is going to be that story designer that we've all talked about forever, is either making universe mode a story designer or having that as a separate mode, and the online piece, being able to download other people's stories, creations, like we've done way back in the day, and bringing that to the modern era. That's what I wish 2K would have done. It's a wish list thing, but I wish that we, didn't get the island and you gave us an online story mode that we could actually create those stories and look at other people's creations and have a DX NWO storyline that they've made, and it's all available for you to download. Great for community engagement, people talking online. 2K loves to be able to have everybody just talking about it, right? Well, that's one way to do it, being able to highlight people's stories and awesome creations. But there's another thing, is Creation Suite. Hasn't evolved very much, and I am no expert in the Creation Suite. There's creators, there's modders, there's people out there that are way beyond me in terms of skill set and even understanding on the depth and details of how the entire mode works, and more importantly, what needs to be corrected and fixed for the players. Body morphing, more textures, details, clothing options, like the heights, all of it. Unlocking stuff, how certain things are blocked and they shouldn't be blocked. There's an endless list out there, and people know way better than I do about all of it. But it is to say that the Creation Suite, while being a huge core component to the game every single year, needs to really step up its game going forward. But then there is the main game, the core game, the gameplay. This past year, the big advertising pieces and features, if you will, were a couple of things. Underground matches, intergender matches. They added a Bloodline rules match. Ladder matches got updated. Submission systems, chain wrestling. While a lot of these features are welcomed, great, They helped give it a little more variety. I love things like ladder matches got revamped or retooled. Intergender matches being the big thing that they focused on, for me, didn't have me excited. I just don't play that way. I know that other people do, and they were so happy to have like Dom versus Rhea and the blood and all of that. And kudos to you. Like, it's great. If you enjoyed it and you still have fun doing that, that's awesome. But I didn't feel like that was this giant gameplay feature that a lot of fans were hoping to get or were like clamoring for. Cool that it's there. It's more of like that, where it's like, okay, cool that it's there, but not a leading thing. The year prior, I thought arguably they did a better job. Maybe you disagree, but I thought they did a better job because we got things like gauntlet matches, special guest ref, ambulance, casket, and you felt like, wow, that's a lot of gameplay. That's a lot of new match types that you're adding in there. And then the weapon wheel kept getting updated. Like this year, it's still getting updated. But like the underground match, I've played it a handful of times. And I'm like, okay, it's a no DQ match with no ropes. Like, cool, but there's not much to it. I think a lot of people, and maybe just because it's my old age here, if wanting to have match types of old, having things like an Inferno match, a new match type like an Iron Survivor, which is probably complicated to build, revamping Hell in a Cell to make it better, more unique, modern, Elimination Chamber, redo the physics to it and how do you engage in the chamber, steel cage matches and what you can do. The games go on a, well, annual cycle, right? And what I understand is that ideas that may be there 2 years ago, 3 years ago, they don't necessarily just get plunked in the next year. Something like an Iron Survivor, for all we know, it's in the works. Maybe it will drop next year and it will be like the biggest thing and everyone will love it. But that probably would, I'm not a developer, but probably take a couple of years to develop to get it right. Much like when we had War Games that was released when everything made a comeback for 2K. This isn't to say that everything is bad and it's just, oh, it's all over, gloom and doom. Nah, whatever, I don't believe in that. But I do find that more and more, it's harder to just like, I don't know, pick up and really sink my teeth into the game that I've played for so many years, or just the wrestling games I've played forever. And I do worry a little bit for next year's game, not knowing anything about it and what we could see, but you know, I could imagine we get a lot of the same modes. You get a showcase mode, which Bloodline Showcase had its moments. It also had a ladder match with Tamina that I couldn't bear myself. The War Games match also was not my favorite, but it had good things, but it also still has the same old thing of like, yeah, it's still just showcase mode. Island mode, the island doesn't work for me. My Rise was fun. I actually replayed My Rise twice, I think, to get more unlockables. I actually enjoyed myself. So I don't expect a big revamp for 2K26. I think it iterates upon itself, but hopefully it takes lessons from previous year's games that were the big wins that got people really excited. Core fixes and updates for things like online and creation suite and everything else people have asked for. But how do you feel about 2K25 in its current state? Do you still play it a ton? Have you shelved it? So I'd love to know how it's going for you. Comment below. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day. See ya.